Hey there, my friends. I'd like to dive into a topic today that, to me, it's a very serious problem that we largely pretend isn't a problem, and that's the issue of porn addiction, as well as for spouses and partners of people who are addicted to porn. The reason why we're talking about this today, I had an inquiry sent to me from a lovely lady, and just the backstory of her inquiry is, my husband and I got married. A few years later, I discovered he's addicted to porn. I felt incredibly betrayed, distraught, and he promised to never look at porn again. Okay, figured out how to move on. A couple more years pass. It brings us up to about the present. And she said, I discovered he's still watching porn. I feel even more betrayed. I feel deep sadness. I feel very inferior inside. And I don't know how I can go on being in my relationship with him. So for me, this video is about both people on either side of the porn fence. And with that said, let's take a look at this. My experience working with lots of people on both sides of this equation is that the porn addiction very likely is just a symptom. I would dare say there is a deeper addiction. The porn addiction just seems to be on the surface. So to the lovely friend out there who wrote in this question, and as well as all you viewers, you know that I don't know exactly what's going on in the psychology of your husband, yet I'd like to share with you some observations and experiences I've had working with some folks on this. So my guess would be, sorry, my dog's just roaming around trying to distract me. My guess would be that under the surface, going on in the man in this equation is an addiction to anxiety and an addiction to keeping secrets and an addiction to disappointing this significant woman in his life. By the way, a part of the backstory is he's been watching porn since his teenage years. So if we look at underneath the surface of watching porn and into the deeper currents of it, okay, this anxiety addiction to keeping secrets, and the addiction to letting a significant woman in his life down, what the heck would all of that be about? So in this species called humankind, we tend to get addicted to anxieties as a way of distracting us from a deeper anxiety. Oftentimes it's more intense than an anxiety. It's usually a deeper shame. So we'll get addicted to things that cause us anxiety because that keeps our attention, so that we don't have to look at something even more painful that we're more ashamed of, afraid of, or just simply more anxious about. So in this equation, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in your husband's past, he encountered a deep wound and he learned to get into things that cause him anxiety. And it's very uncomfortable. So on the surface, it would appear, well, no, he's addicted to porn. There's a physiological climax, and he's addicted to the sexuality of it. Well, what if we found out, while he might enjoy that, and while that might be a more subtle addiction, what if we found out the anxiety he's addicted to is the anxiety of trying to not get caught, as well as addicted to the sense of control he gets by keeping a secret, keeping something hidden from everybody else in his life. And of course, if that's the case, in this case, to be redundant with words, that sense of control would likely be a compensation for something he feels very out of control about. So the reason why we, as humans, keep secrets in our life is a secret gives us a sense of control. here is something I know that I keep hidden. Nobody else knows, so I feel a sense of strength about it. The more I can keep it hidden, the more I can just not get caught. And of course, the anxiety builds up. Will I get caught? I hope I don't get caught. Did I cover my tracks well enough this time? So another part that I would guess is your husband's past is there's likely family secrets he's been exposed to. So he's adopted a pattern of, I need to keep a secret so that I can feel safe, stable, and keep everything in balance. Because what was familiar to me growing up, maybe, says the unconscious of your husband, is there were secrets around. It didn't feel safe to have the secrets exposed, have the eggshell of them cracked, and have the insides leak out. No. It's a very familiar sense of control for there to be the energy of a secret. And for me to continue to feel that sense of safety, I've got to continue creating something to keep secrets about. And the reason why we might create a superficial secret like porn is that helps keep our deeper secrets a secret from us. So those deeper wounds that we carry, those deeper family secrets that are so off limits that our unconscious even keeps them a secret from our own self. Because if we knew of the secret, the shell would be cracked. It would be leaking out. And our familiar world would feel like it's being split in half. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if there's these unresolved issues from your husband's past. And another aspect that I tend to find in folks I work with porn addiction is there's also an element of them being defended against intimacy. So porn being something where there's no intimacy, there's no love making in porn, it is screwing. It is controlling other people. It's not intimacy and surrender with other people. So porn can be an act of seeing, oh, there's no intimacy here. So it allows a person, when they're watching porn, to disconnect from themselves and their own intimacy energies very dramatically. So when we have intimacy wounds, our defended ego, in my experience, says, I want to continually reaffirm that I can disconnect from intimacy. I want to reestablish the boundary over and over that I don't have to be intimate, that I can disconnect. The reason why I want to establish that over and over again is I feel safer doing that. I feel scared to be intimate. So whatever the issue was in the past, where there was an intimacy wound, could have happened in the family with someone outside of the family. I'm not sure in this case, but there is the energetic probability of it here. So why would a person want to reestablish over and over again, whether it's watching porn once a day, multiple times a week, whatever frequency, why would a person's ego have the need to establish this sense of, I can disconnect from intimacy? Well, I would dare say it's the same reason why the military does defense drills. So when the military does defense drills, they have a sense of safety and predictability. If something bad happens, we're ready. Our defenses are up. I know they're capable because we just tested them earlier this morning. So I feel more at ease because my defenses have been well practiced with a lot of repetition. So with all of that said, what we're looking at in your husband's unresolved past, again, is likely an addiction to establishing and maintaining a defense against intimacy, likely an addiction to a feeling of anxiety, and likely an addiction to having a sense of control through secrets. And then the other part of the pattern of this addiction is likely letting an important woman in his life down. If I was a betting man, we can then do a video about gambling addiction because now I'm betting. So with that said, I would bet that in your husband's past, either his mother or his older sister, he feels like a disappointment too. And now he perhaps is projecting that on you, where he lets you see something about his dirty self, his shamed self. In fact, it's so shaming for him, he vows, I will never do this again. So the purpose of keeping a secret, aside from everything we just mentioned, is so that we can eventually get caught. What we're keeping a secret will eventually get caught. So, here he is with you, repeating the pattern of letting an important woman in his life down, feeling like I'm not enough. I am very ashamed of myself about you, dear lovely woman. So I would guess in his past, with his mother, sister, or perhaps a teacher, he has a deep-seated sense of, I'm not good enough for this person. And if that's true, it's obviously unresolved, hence it's continuing to get acted out with you. So you being disappointed in him and saying, I got to leave this marriage because of you and your addiction, that's actually playing right into the hand of this repetitive pattern of dysfunction in his life. So with all of that said, if your husband's watching this video or you are the husband in your version of this, none of that's going to really get healed by watching this video. At most, you're going to have an increased sense of awareness. There would be a need for deep, committed work with one's own self on these issues so that the symptom of these issues, watching porn, can gradually be evaporated. And with clients, I've seen it work both ways. The man commits to the deep work and magic happens over time. And if he doesn't commit, then the addiction will stay in place. And then to the other side of the fence, to the lovely lady writing in this question, or if you are the spouse or partner of someone who has a porn addiction, let's talk about your half of this dance as well. Here you are taking it incredibly personally. You feel very sad. You feel very inferior yourself. I'm not good enough. I'm not attracted enough. I'm not sexy enough. So much so that he's got to watch porn all the time and get his sexual needs met through porn. Just know, it's likely nothing to do with you. You know, one of the wonderful 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, I believe his name is don't take things personally. Now, if that's not easier said than done, I don't know what would be. But I'm guessing that you're similar to me, where you have an infection with a virus called It's My Fault. I look at things in my life when my girlfriend, when she's upset, depressed, or whatever kind of her escapism is in life, I sit there and I feel like it's my fault. I feel like I'm not good enough to get her attention. I'm not good enough to get her to act the way I want her to act. So I wish I could say I'm perfect at this. No, not at all. But I would like to ask you to consider this. His porn addiction has nothing to do with you, and it likely has very little to do with your sex life whatsoever. And that would also mean maybe another part of your half of this equation is looking at your past. Where do you have unresolved wounds where you had a sense of being unworthy to a significant male in your life? Hence, that has become, or that pattern is repeatedly playing out in your marriage. If you look at the word marriage, it's a mirror of our unresolved past. And I know there's present moment intimacy, not in many marriages, but that's potential in a marriage. So what about you as your marriage mirroring? And I would dare say, based on your question, there's likely an aspect of you who vibrates at the energy of, I am not good enough. And that is confronting you in a very confronting way with this porn issue. So I would like to ask you to challenge yourself to the place where you are looking at your inferiority complex and your sadness of, I'm not good enough for him. Hence, I drive him to watch porn, and it's so uncomfortable for me to believe that I'm not good enough for him. I have to think about leaving my marriage as a way of escaping from my intense discomfort. So, I would guess it's just that. It's not a desire to leave the marriage, but a desire to leave your intense discomfort of being confronted with your inferiority wounds. So, your job is to challenge your husband to look at his deeper aspects of this. If he's willing, great. If he's not willing, that's his choice. And your job is to challenge yourself to look at your deeper inferiority complexes of it going on inside of you that are perhaps being mirrored to you in, albeit a very uncomfortable way here. They say with any addict is a codependent. There is a reason why your husband, both his light side and his shadow side, there's a reason why he's been a perfect match for you. There's a perfect vibration there. And I know consciously it's no, but we're talking about consciously and unconsciously. A mirror-age here. So with that said, I hope this video can challenge all of you who have experienced porn addiction or have someone in your life who is addicted to porn, and here you are playing the other half of the dance. I hope it can challenge you to some greater realizations of what's going on inside of you. Again, my experience likely would lend you to look at your unresolved past that's being brought to the table, acted out through symptomatic addiction or symptomatic codependence to an addict. With that said, I'd also challenge you to become addicted to my channel. So a good way to facilitate that addiction is subscribe to my channel, and I'll look forward to talking with you next time.